Hi, sixth grade science. This is Miss Saunders. We're going to go over the layers of the sun very quickly to help you get better prepared for your mastery test. And hopefully this one will be a little bit easier because we've done some background. All right, so in order to follow along, I need you to get into your A+ lesson and find the one on the layers of the sun. And we're going to go ahead and get started. If I go too fast, I apologize, but feel free to pause me and restart me as you need to. This video is designed to help you. All right, so one of the things that you need to know about the sun is that it is a great big ball of hot gas. That hot gas is called plasma. It is super, super hot, like so hot you can't even imagine it. Like if you were that close to it, you would actually end up just instantly exploding. Like there wouldn't even be a time that you would feel heat. You would just be gone. So that's how hot plasma is on the sun. Okay. So the sun, one giant body of hot gases in the form of plasma. All right. That's what you need to know for the test. You also need to know that the sun is 99.86% of all the matter found in the known universe, which means, or not the known universe, my apologies. Scratch that, erase it. The sun, if you took all of the physical things that can be touched in our solar system, the sun is almost 100% of that matter, which means that compared to the size of the sun, the planets are really, really tiny. So if you look at this picture right here, see the sun and you see the really, really tiny planets. That one right there, my very educated, that's Earth. Okay, see how tiny Earth is in comparison to the sun. Okay. Other thing you need to know about the sun that will show up on your quiz is that it is made of mostly hydrogen, but that it also has other elements in very small amounts. But the question is mostly that it's mostly made of hydrogen. Okay, so it's plasma, it's hot gas, it's plasma, it's hydrogen, and it's almost everything in our solar system. Got it? Hot gas, plasma, mostly hydrogen, almost everything in the solar system. All right, moving on. Now, the sun's size is about 100 times bigger than the Earth. And the best way for you to visualize this is if you think about a small pet, like a rabbit or a guinea pig, or like the text says, a chihuahua. Compare how big you are to a chihuahua. They are itty bitty little dogs. They think they're big. They act like they're big, but they're not. They're itty bitty. And then compared to you, you're huge compared to that chihuahua. And even if you're not a huge person, you're still huge to that chihuahua. For example, my husband is 6'7". I am 5'3". We are both giants to a chihuahua. But my husband is a much bigger giant than me. So when you're comparing size, you have to understand that just because something's big to us doesn't mean it's big to other people. And that's where the sun is. The sun is actually an average sized star. Excuse me. It is also a yellow star. So that means that if the sun were a person, it'd probably be a guy like 5'10", maybe, average size. Not too big, not too small, just right. So we have the sun, hot gas, plasma, hydrogen, almost 100% of the matter in the known solar system. It is yellow and it's average sized. All right, now, if you pay close attention to what you see in the night sky, and if you're in a place where there aren't very many lights to kill your ability to see the sky, you might notice that the stars are different colors. Blue stars and blue-white stars are the hottest, and red stars are the coldest. Okay, that is a test question on your mastery test. Which ones are the hot stars? Which ones are the cold stars? Now keep in mind, can't do that. This is still really, really, really hot, but it's not the hottest. Okay. Also, Beetlejuice, great movie. Moving on. All right. There are 6 layers to the sun. So on a piece of paper, I would strongly advise you to write down these 6 words with a little bit of space in between them so that you can take some notes on them. And I will tell you exactly what to write down, and you can pause me so you can get it written down. All right, so these are the 6 layers of the sun. 4 of these 6, the first 4 are considered inner layers, and the last 2 are considered outer layers. All right, so here we go. Things you need to know about the core. That is the center of the planet. It's the heart of the star. It's where the most important stuff happens. Okay? Nuclear fusion happens in the core of the sun, and that's what makes the sun glow. That's what gives it the heat. That's what gives it the shine. That's what gives it the energy to do what it does. Okay? So the innermost layer, the center, is the core. That's where nuclear fusion takes place. That provides the sun's energy. The other thing you need to know about the core is that it's very dense. Okay? It's only 10% of the space of the sun, but it takes up 40% of its mass and its weight. Think about it like this. You have a marshmallow in one hand and a rock the same size as that marshmallow in the other hand. Try to squeeze them. You can't really squeeze the rock with your bare hand because it's dense. It's already tightly packed, so you can't squish it. But a marshmallow is less dense because you can squish it. Okay? The core of the sun is like that rock. It is very tightly packed and unsquishable. The other layers of the sun are very squishable because, again, plasma, hot gas. Okay? So the core, nuclear fusion, sun's energy, oops, just the word energy, and incredibly dense. Okay? All 3 of those are potential questions on your test. All right. The radiative layer is where the heat from the core moves out. And the thing that you need to know about the radiative layer is that it takes 170,000 years for energy to travel through that layer, which means that the warmth of the sun that we feel today is 170,000 years old. It's pretty amazing. All right, so radiative layer, 170,000 years. All right, the convection layer. This is where the heat and the energy start to move around so that only the hottest of the energies can get out. So things boil up to the top, but if it's not warm enough to get through, then it gets dropped back down to the bottom. The best way to understand that is if you look at boiling water. The things that are bubbling from the bottom are the hottest parts of the water. So what happens is that plasma bubbles up, but if it's not hot enough to break through, then it goes back down until it's hot enough and high enough in that layer to get to the photosphere. The photosphere, and this is layer number 4, is what we consider the surface of the sun. It's what we see from Earth. Okay, that's what you write down. Surface of the sun and what you see from Earth. Those are the things that you need to know about the photosphere. Okay. The photosphere also blocks the light and the energy from the interior of the sun, because if all of the energy and the light from the interior of the sun were to come out all at once, we would be incinerated, burnt up, just like that. All right. Now, on the photosphere, sometimes these things called sunspots happen. All right. Sunspots are places where there is magnetic activity happening on the sun. All right. Now, I'm going to give you the things you need to remember about sunspots. First, they are magnetic. Okay. Sunspots are magnetic, and they often appear in pairs like you would find on a whole planet, like North Pole, South Pole. You're going to have like a north sunspot and a south sunspot. North sunspot, south sunspot. Okay, so magnetic pairs. They are also cooler and darker than the things around them. Okay, so magnetic pairs, cooler, darker, and 11 years. So a sunspot can last for up to 11 years. It is magnetic, it's darker, it's cooler, and it's magnetic. Wait, I said that twice. You get what I mean. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we're going to look at are the two things that together make up the atmosphere of the sun. That's the chromosphere and the corona. Okay, so chromosphere and corona. The chromosphere and the corona together cannot be seen with the naked eye. And if you think about it, we can't see the Earth's atmosphere with the naked eye. What we see when we look in the sky are clouds, weather patterns, that sort of thing. We don't actually see the gas that forms our protective layer, which is what the atmosphere is. It's like a protective layer. It's like the planet's skin, essentially. All right, so the sun's atmosphere is made up of the chromosphere and the corona. So chromosphere and the corona. The chromosphere is what we look at and what we see as the outer layer. And the corona, which you can only see, okay, let me back up a second. Chromosphere and the corona can only be seen during an eclipse. And you have to use special tools so that you don't fry your eyes when you look at one. So most of the time, the photosphere blocks the chromosphere from being seen. And you can only see the corona if the brightness of the sun's body is blocked out. So during an eclipse is the only time that you'll be able to see the corona of the sun. And you have to use this thing called a coronagraph in order to be able to see it. So corona, you have to see use a coronagraph to see it. And the sun's corona is either white or pale green, depending on where you look at it from. So core, radiative layer, convective layer, photosphere, chromosphere, corona. And we've also covered sunspots. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to talk about the rest of these solar activities. All right. Solar flare. What you need to know about solar flares, excuse me, is that they are bright explosions. They last up to an hour, and they can go up to 20,000 miles out from the sun. So they're bright explosions, 20,000 miles, about an hour. The things that come off of the sun when there are solar flares and sunspots have an effect on the things that happen on our planet. Okay, solar flares and solar prominences can disrupt compasses. They can disrupt cell phone service. They can disrupt satellite communications. So when there's a huge solar flare or a huge solar prominence, that becomes a thing on the news because that can have an effect on our daily lives. Okay. Now, there are these things called sunquakes, which are like earthquakes, but we can't call them earthquakes on the sun because the sun is the sun and not the earth. So we call them sunquakes because they're on the sun. Now, solar flares can produce sunquakes. And those sunquakes are so powerful that one sunquake could power the entire planet for 20 years. So that's just a hint at a tiny bit of the power that our sun has. All right, third type of solar activity is a solar prominence. Solar prominence are clouds of hydrogen and helium, and they form arches and loops on the surface of the sun. So solar prominence, arches and loops, and clouds of hydrogen and helium. Okay, now a solar prominence can hang out for days or minutes. There are two types, active and inactive. As those names would indicate, active prominences are hotter and they go farther. They extend greater distances. Inactive prominences are going to be smaller and they're going to be just more like a cloud. An active prominence is going to be a bigger loop or arch and it's going to last longer. Okay, so solar prominence is a glowing cloud, hydrogen, helium. It forms arches and loops. Comes in two types, active and inactive. Active burns hotter and extends greater. All right, the last type of solar activity is a solar wind. And these are winds that can reach all the way to the Earth. These also can cause problems with electronics and magnetics on Earth, and they can travel at 1,000,000 miles an hour. All right, to me, that just blows my mind. Can you imagine? I can't even wrap my imagination around 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's just amazing to me. All right, now we need to learn about the sun and how it operates and what it does and what it's made of and all that stuff, because our existence relies on the sun staying the way it is and doing what it does. And, you know, stars die, they burn out. And when that happens, the solar systems that they fed die. So it's to our advantage to understand how stars operate, because without our star, we're nothing. All right, now that is pretty much it. The things that you need to know for your test are the 6 layers of the sun, what happens in the core, how big is the core, the radiative layer, how long does it take for energy to get out and why, the convective layer, how do you explain what convection is, what does the photosphere do, blocks light from other layers, is the surface of the sun, what makes up the atmosphere of the sun, that's the chromosphere and the corona, what color is the corona, when can you see it, you need to know the difference among these 4 types of solar activities. What do they look like? How long they last? What impact do they have on Earth? Okay. And up here, I'm just going to show you some questions that you'll also need to know for the mastery test on this. The hottest and coolest stars. What color star is our sun? Which part of the solar system has the most matter? What kind of matter is the sun made of? Let's see, solar stripes. Okay, what's the biggest layer of the sun? And what's the densest layer of the sun? So those are all the things that are on the mastery exam for layers of the sun for 6th grade science with Miss Saunders at Building Bridges. Now, if you have questions, you know where to find me. Holler if you need anything. Take care. Bye.